It's your size. I can never say, yeah, too much, too much.
Too much media.
Okay, hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, this is a creative mastery channel. If you are returning, shout out to you. Thank you for returning. Make sure you're liking, subscribing, doing all the YouTube stuff so YouTube knows that we're active in here. All right, so today we're gonna talk about what I would do if I wanted to lose weight. Okay, so as you know, we have a fat mentality discussion that we have in here, where I kind of explain to you guys the difference between fat, fit, and skinny mentality, and how those are the real keys to whether or not you are actually big. The mentality is more important than the physical size, you know? Like there's so many different things, like, because if you're at someone with fat mentalities at someone with fat mentalities house, you, even if they're skinny, if you also have fat mentality but are just prone to bigness, you're gonna get big. Like, a person can be skinny and still have fat mentality. That's one of the things I preach on this channel. So, or it's like if you live somewhere where your means don't allow you to gain weight, but you have fat mentality, the minute you have means to gain weight, you will become fat. Look at every single rapper who is broke and living in the hood and has no bread. And then the minute they blow and they make some money, they blow up like a balloon too. They blow up in many different ways. Or like, even like if you're a foreigner, you know this, like when Africans come from Africa to America, and they've been skinny their whole life because they lived in Africa. They would just eat rice maybe once, twice a day, you know, whenever they could. You know, if you're really, really broken from Africa, you don't even get to eat meat every day. You eat meat on the days y'all can, like, it's a holiday or a special occasion, or you guys just so happen to make a lick of some sort, and now you got bread for meat today. Like, you know, so your means to eat often are lower, and the types of foods you're eating are like healthier quality and like more like true ingredients. Then you come to America and you're surrounded by fast food and junk and all types of different stuff, and you think that it's normal to eat that shit every day. So you start eating because now you're happy you can finally afford food. And like, there's like, you know, food is nothing here in America. People will give you food like before they'll give you actual real help about something you need. So it'll be like a thing where you just keep eating because you're being offered food like you've never been offered before. And because you have fat mentality, especially coming from a lack mindset is a big part of fat mentality. To think that you're always lacking something that you always need to eat, like, that's fat mentality, you know? That's more on the fat mentality side of things. So it's like foreigners will come and they'll just keep eating and eating, and they won't understand that you're not skinny because you're skinny. You're skinny because you're broke. So because they have fat mentality, they think they're just naturally skinny when they're not. And then they blow up, and then they never can lose the weight again. And then they're like, oh my God, America makes you fat. No, your mindset on food and what you think is a normal way to eat made you fat. America didn't make you fat. There's plenty of fit and thin people in America. I think that a big misconception that we have about America too is that, like, it's this place where everyone's fat and big and everything's big. But I think that we forget that just as much as there's a huge fat community in America, and then like a real, like, if that's the community you're looking for, of getting big and just eating and being greedy, you definitely are gonna find your community very easily in America. You know, that's not gonna be something very difficult for you if that's what you're looking for, right? I would say that if that's what I was looking for, is to get as big as humanly possible, and I had to pick a country, 100%, those people are right, I would pick America. However, America is also a country of extremes. Anything you can find in one extreme to the left in America, you can find in another extreme to the right in America. Just as much as we have a huge fat community in America, we have a really big fit community. There are fitness people in America who take fitness to such extremes. I don't think you would find the level of fitness that you can find in America in any other country just as well as you can find you cannot find fat community as well as any other country. So it's more on you as a person. What's your mind state and what do you think is a normal way to live? Because if you want to find fitness people in America, this is the best place to find it. There's gyms like nothing else in America. We have walkable cities if you live in one. What's it called? There's like, you can make your diet healthy. Like there's access to healthy food. There's no access to food like a Western country. So it's like, for you to say that all they have is fat in America, it's like, well, they don't even have access to food like they have in like third world countries in like they do in America. So it's like you have access to all types of food. Yes, you have access to the processed, what's it called? Nutrient lacking foods in America, but you have access to all types of foods in America. If you decide to eat with a nutrient dense diet, you will be fine. You can be fit, right? So I think that it's like, that's why I like to preach more on the mentality than the actual need for, oh, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do Pilates, you got to run 5 miles every day, cardio up, this, that, and third. Like a lot of people will give you a lot of different advice on the internet. But one of the things I preach the most, if you're trying to live outside of fat mentality, is to not listen to anyone's specific advice. You need to trust your own mind and body if you are trying to leave fat mentality. A part of fat mentality is following trends and diets. If you are on a diet, like how we think of traditional diets of like, I'm just going to do this for the next 2 to 3 months to lose this amount of weight, and then I'm going to be done with eating like this. That's what I mean when I say diet. You need to think of diet more as like, this is my diet as in my way of eating my life. Like this is my, like how you would say, what is a dog's diet? Is dog food. What is a cat's diet? It's cat food. So what is my diet? It's my food, So you got to figure out what your food is and what those things that make your body function the best, and also what your taste buds would allow you to eat. Because some people, the problem is that like, they just genuinely can't eat maybe like salads every day and stuff like that. Their taste buds just really genuinely don't like it. So it's like, for now, maybe all you can eat is like, meat and like, maybe you were more on a carb dense diet, but you need to decrease the amount. Things like that, right? So now today I have other videos where I go more in depth with different types of fat mentality. I'm going to leave the playlist below for fat mentality, and I'm going to add this video to the fat mentality playlist as well. Now we're going to discuss what I would do if I wanted to lose weight. And when I say I want to lose weight, I'm going to give you guys like kind of a structure of what I would do regardless of how much weight I would want to lose. If you need to lose 100 pounds or you need to lose 30 pounds, you know what I'm trying to say? Because the thing is, depending on how much weight you're trying to lose, what your method is does vary. I will say that. So I'm today not going to give you a specific, because the thing is, if you only need like a good 10 pounds to shred, your mentality and the things you need to do is going to be different from someone who's trying to lose 30 pounds. And if you're trying to lose 30 pounds, your mentality and the things you need to do is going to be different from someone who's like 100, 200, in the morbidly obese range of losing weight. So it's like, this is going to be kind of like a overall mind state of what I would do if I was trying to lose weight. Okay, so first things first, everyone knows that when you're trying to lose weight, regardless of exercise, the main thing that is going to make or break your ability to lose weight properly is going to be your food intake. If you do not decrease your food intake, but you increase your exercise, you are going to plateau very quickly, and it's going to be hard for you to actually lose the weight. The food is going to be the main concern of your diet, of whether or not you are able to lose the weight you're looking to lose, regardless of the amount of weight. That's why I'm starting with explaining that first. It's like, if you need to lose 100 pounds, 5 pounds, 20 pounds, whatever you need to lose, the food is what's gonna decide if you lose it, right? But the thing about food is it's a very mental game of trying to change what you're eating. Okay, so it's very hard to tell someone, hey, if you're trying to lose weight, you have to cut out this fast food. You keep eating fast food, that's going to be your main thing to stop eating. And now you have to switch over to, like, carrot sticks and apples every day. Like, that's going to be very difficult to make that switch when you're trying to lose weight. So what I would say is, in the beginning of trying to lose weight, I would not change my food intake in any way, shape, or form. The first thing you need to do is mentally get into the space of trying to understanding that you're in the process of losing weight, right? So the first thing I would do is keep my diet the same and only increase my exercise level. Now, this is very opposing to what I just told you, which was, regardless of your exercise, food is going to be the thing that makes or breaks your weight loss. So if you don't change the food, you're going to plateau and you're not going to be able to lose weight, right? So you would think I would say, first things first, change up the diet, right? No. First things first, increase your exercise load. Now, why am I telling you this? The reason I personally believe that you would want to change your exercises before the food is because the thing about exercise is it gets your blood flowing in a way where your body is able to exit out toxins from your body. One thing about exercise that a lot of people don't understand, even if it's not a lot heavily about losing weight because of exercise, it releases toxins. When you sweat, all the bad things that are in the foods that you're eating comes out through your sweat. Your blood flow starts to increase, and so your brain clarifies. The issue with food that is like low in nutrients and heavily processed is it also causes a heavy amount of brain fog. That's why most of my food intake is based off what I mentally need to get done. If I mentally need to get certain things done, I can't afford brain fog that certain foods cause me. My food intake is usually not based off of my body goals. My food intake is usually based off my life goals of what I need to get done. So the thing about heavily processed foods is it causes a lot of brain fog. And if your blood flow is also moving very slow and at a low rate, it's going to be hard for you to convince a foggy brain and a body that is obsessed with sugar and heavily used to processed foods to stop eating those foods or to switch up your diet. It's going to be very difficult. So I would say get some of those toxins out through exercise and increase your blood flow so your brain is moving a bit better. Once you change your diet, you're going to have to continue exercising. It's best to start with exercise so that you understand that, hey, this is an everyday thing. You want to first get started with a routine and exercise that you understand that this is what you're going to be doing. You need your body to be used to exercise. Now, in the beginning, before I changed my diet, I wouldn't heavily exercise either. The exercise that I'm talking about now is just increase from what you're doing before. So let's say before you're completely stagnant and you don't even go on walks, you don't exercise at all. I would just say simply start walking every day, and I wouldn't have a number for walking. It would just be minutes. It would be like what you can afford for your time schedule. So it would be like, I can do 30 minutes a day of walking, something like that, whatever it is. Or if you're already that type of person who you go on walks every day, but you can't really seem to lose weight the way you want to. So I would go from walking 30 minutes and hype it up to an hour, or from an hour, hype it up to an hour and a half. Whatever you're currently doing as your means for exercise, I would hike it up a bit more. Okay. Once I'm used to the routine of hiking up my exercise, I would then start to change the diet. I would wait till after my hiked up exercise routine is gone. before it started before I changed the diet, because the minute you change the diet and now you're on a hiked up exercise routine, you're gonna immediately start seeing results. You're gonna see results once you hike up the exercise regardless. But here's the thing. When you're trying to lose weight, the main thing you need to keep in your brain is move more, eat less. But the thing is, you want to eat less, but in the beginning, I would say move more, eat more nutrient dense foods. The thing that about fat mentality, like I said before, it's a very lack mindset. So when you're trying to leave fat mentality in order to lose weight, the thing I would do is I add things rather than take away things. Of course, eventually you get to a point where you do still need to take away things. But by the time, if you use my method, by the time it's time to take things away, you're not taking them away anymore. You're literally just uninterested. Your body naturally starts becoming uninterested in the things that were keeping you fat before if you add instead of take away. You don't need to take things away because you'll naturally just not want to do it if you do it correctly. If you eat the correct foods, you naturally don't want the wrong foods. If you move more, you naturally don't want to be stagnant all the time. Like naturally your body just functions differently, where you don't need to be telling yourself, hey, I'm taking this away. It'll literally just be in front of you and you won't want it. Like that's the goal here. When you use the correct weight loss methodology, you don't need to tell yourself to take things away. You naturally just won't do the things that you used to do. Your body just will be like, I'm cool. Okay. So that's why I would say in the beginning, I would increase my exercise and not change my food. Now, while I'm increasing my exercise, I'm keeping track of what am I eating all the time and what does this mean for me, right? Now, in the beginning of weight loss, I would also say don't take away any foods you enjoy. So if you're the person who you know that the reason that you're carrying excess weight that you don't need and is because, for example, you eat chocolate every day. Every single day you stop by, grab a Snicker bar, and you eat one or two of those a day or a couple of those a week or whatever. I would not take away that treat. You keep eating that. What I would do now is every time you have a Snicker, you also have to make sure it's at a time where you have enough room to eat an apple too. Something that is nutrient dense that you can pair with the Snicker or whatever bad food that you're having that you can eat at the same time as you're eating the bad food that you equally like. I wouldn't say equally because obviously at the time, because your mind is so warped into thinking that these foods are okay to eat, you probably won't like the nutrient dense food as much as you like the processed food, but something that you can kind of equate to like that bad food, right? So let's say, for example, one of my things is I like fries because I like sauce, right? So I like to eat sauce. I call myself, no, I'm not telling y'all what I call myself because hell no. But I love sauce, right? So give me some ketchup with my fries, some, some ketchup and mayo, ranch, all of those stuff, like all the sauces, barbecue sauce, honey mustard. Ooh, fries with honey mustard. Now you got me. So it's like things like that. I love sauces. And I realized after a while, the main thing keeping me eating things like fries is the sauces. I love the combo of getting to dip my fry in the sauce, right? So if I know I need to eat fries every day, you need to be eating fries in a way where it's like, okay, you can have fries, but you have to have it with a salad. That's what I would do in the beginning in order to get my brain a little bit more used to the nutrient dense foods rather than the fried foods, right? I would eat my fries with a salad. So this way, I don't feel like I'm being punished. I don't feel like this is a diet. I'm adding food instead of taking away food. I always say this. I say that every single time I'm at a point where I need to lose weight, I always got to eat more rather than eat less. When I eat less to try to lose weight, I always end up gaining weight. when I eat more when I want to lose weight, I always lose whatever weight I want to lose. So I would add to whatever I'm eating that is not good. So for the previous example, I was saying before of eating the Snicker, but you can only eat the Snicker if you have room for, let's say, an apple. So now you're having your fruit intake and your what's it called, your sugar intake, right? But fruit and sugar is kind of similar, right? Fries and salad kind of pair well together. A burger with what's it called, some carrots on the side kind of pair well together. It's like fake, instead of having fries on the side of your burger, you're fake having like fries, but the fries are carrots. You see what I'm trying to say? So every time you want to eat a processed food, add a nutrient dense food in the beginning. Remember, you're not going to be eating like this forever. So in the beginning, this is just to get you started. So now you've done two things. You've increased your exercise intake and you've increased your micronutrient intake. Micronutrients are important because it is used to help your gut, right? Your gut and how your stomach is able to digest foods is based off how many micronutrients they're able to get in order to understand how to digest food. The vitamins and nutrients that you get from foods that are made from God are the ones that are able to tell your gut how to digest food, right? So because you're probably at a point right now where your body's not getting enough of those micronutrients, your body's, for one, always telling you you're hungry even when you're not. And for two, your body is also constantly, what's it called? Struggling to digest the food, and it's keeping you constipated and it's keeping you big because you're constipated. You're not getting rid of all of those processed foods. So that's why I say to pair your bad foods with nutrient dense food, because even if you're into increasing your calorie intake, you are also increasing your stomach's ability to digest those foods that are being stuck inside your stomach, okay? So that's the beginning. You see how I've only added things? I add exercise. I add more nutrient dense food. I'm just slowly trying to change your body's composition of what it craves and what it thinks is good, right? Now that you've increased your exercise load and you've increased your food load, you're going to keep your exercise consistent with the increased amount. The only time you're going to increase your exercise anymore is after you've now started to slowly decrease the amount of percentage from processed foods to nutrient dense food. So slowly, as the time goes on and you've already increased your exercise intake, you're now going to start swapping foods. So whereas in the beginning, you might have been able to eat an entire Snicker bar and an entire apple, you're now only going to eat half the Snicker bar maybe and the whole apple. Do you see what I'm trying to say? Now that you're eating your salad with your fries, you're maybe going to eat majority salad and just a couple of fries. Whatever your mixture is, you are going to uptick in the amount of the nutrient dense food that you eat and decrease a bit of the processed food. You're slowly going to start swapping out the nutrient food that you started pairing with the processed food. Now that your brain is slowly getting less obsessed with it, right? So as you're swapping all of these foods slowly, you're gonna now start to cut off certain foods. So let's say you ate Snickers all the time, and you ate also fries all the time, and you also ate all these things all the time, right? You get to keep some foods, but you have to cut certain foods. So that's going to be whatever that is easiest for you. You want to look for the easiest food for you to let go now that you've slowly started to increase your nutrient dense foods, because we're now at the point where you want to slowly start cutting calories, okay? In order to cut calories, you're going to have to start letting go of the foods. But now that your body has started to get used to having more nutrients in it, you're going to notice that this process is super easy for you right now. picking a food that you don't care too much about to cut off is not going to be too much, because you're going to notice that your body gets full quicker now that you've increased the amount of nutrients in it. Your body's literally going to be incapable of eating as much as it was in the beginning. So what I would do is, like, for me personally, what I usually do is I pick like a food group. So I might say like no more sugar, but I'm allowed to eat anything else. So I'm still allowed to eat like carbs that are salty. I'm still allowed, like, so for like fries or like bread, stuff like that, like I can still eat those, but no more like sugary based food. So like ice cream or like, Snickers, candies, anything like actual, added sugars and stuff like that, I can't eat. But it's like, if it's like regular stuff like that, then I can eat. I might do that. Or what else is one of the ones I cut off sometimes? Oh, sometimes a simple one. If you're someone who eats out, your only rule, that's one of the biggest ones I would give for advice. For example, someone who's really on the bigger side, because if you're on the, like, I'm just trying to lose my last like 10, 20 pounds. Actually, no, at any rate, eating out is probably what's causing you like a very stubborn 20, 30 pounds. If you have like a stubborn 20 to 30 pounds that won't go away, you're most likely than not, it's from eating out. So I would do now, my next rule that I've started to swap foods and pair them with nutrient dense foods is I would make my next rule being no eating out. So anything that you used to eat out that you like to eat, you are still allowed to eat. So for example, remember I was saying like I would pair my fries with a salad or something like that? If I want to have fries, if you used to go and buy the fries from like, McDonald's, Wendy's, Burger King, wherever you used to buy the fries, you are no longer allowed to go and buy the fries, but you can still eat fries. You just have to make it yourself at home. So that would be my new rule. It's like no more outside food, but any food I want to eat, I am allowed to still eat, but only made from home. What this is going to do is it's going to allow you to still eat the foods you like, but all the foods you like are going to be a bit healthier. And like I said, what we're trying to do is retrain the body to not even want these foods anymore. So if you still want those foods, you can still have them. The only rule is you make it yourself. The thing about restaurants and eating out from any place that is not your own home is you have no idea what they're doing with the food. And one thing that they're doing with the food is they're adding as much salt, oil, sugar, and grease, and anything that is going to keep your body addicted and coming back. They're adding as much as humanly possible in it so that you'll keep coming back. It's keeping you so much bigger than you need to be. Like, whereas, like, let me give you just an example of something that they're doing that you're not even understanding. This is like what's keeping you big. It's like, let's say if you were to make a sandwich at home and your brain wouldn't even think to put butter on the bread. They're buttering the bread before they put your sandwich together, just to add a little more fat in there, just to add a little more something greedy, so that you really are like, I don't know what they do to this, but it is so good. Like, they'll have a brioche bun and still butter it. Brioche is basically just butter. How the fuck you adding butter to a brioche bun? And in your brain, if you were at the house, your brain wouldn't even think to put butter on a brioche bun before you make your sandwich. You would just toast the bun and then add like maybe your mayo and mustard. They're adding butter to that bun first, then adding the mayo and mustard. So you're having sauce and you're having butter for no reason. Like, it doesn't even make sense. It doesn't even make the food that much better. It just makes your gut that much more addicted. That's the real reason that they're doing that at restaurants. So now if you make the food at home, even if it's still a greedy salad, or a greedy sandwich, whatever it is, like, you're still making it quite greedily at home. Like, you're adding 2 to 3 meats, mad cheese, all the sauces, barely any lettuce, a little bit of tomato, in your sandwich at home. Even if it's still a greedy version, I promise you, no matter what, it's still going to be healthier for you than whatever they're making for you outside. So that used to be my rule. It's like, you can eat whatever you want. I really don't care. I would literally make whatever I wanted. But you got to make it at home. You cannot eat anything that is made outside of the walls of this house. If you go to the grocery store and you bring it home and you make it here, but no eating out. that is going to cut. And you've already increased your exercise load while you've now no longer eating out and you've added micronutrients to your diet. You are immediately going to start losing weight from this. And it's going to be easy because you're not even going to feel it, because like we barely taken any food group. We haven't even taken any food groups away. We've only added to things, and allows you space to change the way you're eating the foods. If you just change the way you eat the foods, slowly your brain composition is going to change. That is our main goal here, is we are trying to change our brain composition, right? Now that we have stopped eating out, we add micronutrients to any processed food that we eat, and we've increased our exercise load. Now is when you're going to start wanting to follow your bodily cues. Your body's going to start giving you cues of things that are making you feel better or worse, right? So now is when we're going to start portioning down, where you still don't have to take away any foods if you don't want to. If you really need to keep eating Snickers, you really need to keep eating, fries. But like I said, from the house, you really need to see whatever you need to keep eating it, but eat a little bit less now. That's what I would say. Portion down. So now we're going to just eat a little bit less. So if before you would eat like a whole handful of fries, now we're going to eat half a handful of fries. If before you would eat the whole Snicker bar in one sitting, we eat half the Snicker bar and save the rest for tomorrow. So you still are allowed to eat everything, but you for example, save things for the next day. Before you would eat a whole burger, eat half the burger. Before you would eat a salad, a big bowl, like you would have a big volume heavy salad, now just eat a normal size salad. Don't eat the whole heavy bowl of salad. That's one thing I will warn you about. Even the nutrient dense food, don't start to overeat the nutrient dense foods just because they're better for you than the processed food. That's one mistake I think that a lot of the people who are still stuck in fat mentality make, that they don't understand, is just because the food is good for you doesn't mean you get to increase the volume. No. That is fat mentality. You don't get to eat more just because the food is good for you. You still need to be careful of how much you're eating, because that is also something that can keep you fat. So whatever the food is, I would just decrease the amount I'm eating. Now we've gotten to the point where decreasing the amount you're eating isn't actually decreasing the amount you're eating like it was in the beginning. Do you see how you've tricked your brain into eating less by eating more? Because in the beginning, I allowed you to eat more. You only added nutrient-dense food to all your other processed foods. You didn't have to eat less. But now you've gotten to the point where your body's so used to nutrient-dense food that now you can eat more, now you can decrease, but you just added food in the beginning. So right now, when you're decreasing food, you're technically kind of back to where you started as far as amount of food, because you were adding food in the beginning. So now that you've decreased it, you technically still haven't decreased the amount of food you're eating from where you started. Now that you've decreased food, you're decreasing kind of back to where you originally were eating. But what you will notice now when you're decreasing food versus if you had just immediately started with decreasing food is that your body also is going to get full way faster. You need less food. Why do you need less food? Because now your body's finally getting the nutrients it needs, and it's getting less of the fat and grease and salt and sugar, because you're no longer eating food outside of your house. All your food is made in your house, so you know exactly what's in it. So now you're also having less processed food, so your body's going to be less hungry because it has less processed food and it has more nutrient heavy foods. Do you see what I'm saying? And you already increased your exercise. So now that you've decreased the amount you've eaten and you're eating, and you already had increased your exercise, I would now increase the exercise again. So now that I'm only eating in the house, my food base is more nutrient dense, and I've decreased the amount of food I've eaten, I will now increase exercise again. I'm back to, this is kind of a process. You'll slowly start cycling through this same process of switching out foods while increasing exercise. that will slowly get you to less and less food, more and more exercise. So now you're slowly increasing the gap of move more, eat less. Remember I said that's going to be your main motto when you're trying to lose weight is move more, eat less. So that trick of tricking yourself into thinking you're going to be eating more is going to allow you to decrease the amount of food, and you're slowly cycling through this. So now that, let's say you used to do, what's it called? A 30-minute walk every day was your new exercise increase, right? You are now at the point where you've already lost some pounds. Your movement needs to increase because your body is now at a new like energy rate that like 30 minutes is literally not enough for your body to consider it exercise because your weight is down. You've probably lost, I would say, from this method that I've just given you, a good 10 pounds, okay? Depending on how much weight you need to lose, though, how much fat is on your body is going to base how much you lose and how quickly. Because if you have a lot of fat, you might even lose 20 pounds just from this method without even changing anything, right? Anything else. Right. But like, it's going to be variant on the person. But now I would take my 30 minutes of walking and add a different type of exercise. So that's how I would do it to increase my exercise without feeling like I'm just increasing the same exercise and make it too boring. Because if it's too boring too, you want to make your exercise life something exciting. So I would add something fun that is movement based to my exercise load that I can do. So if before I used to walk 30 minutes, now I would add like maybe 30 minutes of jump rope every day as well. Or like whatever you like to do. So it has to be something you like, something you enjoy, something that you would consider fun. I would dance for 30 minutes a day, maybe do yoga for 30 minutes every day. Something else that is a movement-based thing you could do every day that is enjoyable to you. Now that I've increased that amount of exercise, I'm no longer eating out. I've cut down my amount of processed foods and I've also cut down my amount of nutrient dense foods. Now is when I would cut out a food group. I would just take away an entire food group personally, because it's easier to just take away a food group that you don't overly have to think about than it is to like say that like, you know, you're increasing anything. I would increase the amount of nutrient dense food I'm eating, but I would also take away a processed food. So I would say, for example, no more sugar, right? So now no more Snicker bars, for example. Used to eat an apple with your half of a Snicker bar. Now we're no longer eating the Snicker at all. We're just eating the apple. By this point, taking away a food group, first of all, you should pick the easiest food group, and it's going to be way easier. Or I would say no more fried food. So you know how I said before, you can still eat fries, but you have to make it at the house. So now I would say, for example, no more fries, you know. No more fries at all, but you can still eat the Snicker bars. You got to just pick one thing that you're making at the house that you're now no longer allowed to buy or eat. So it's like if you used to buy chips every time when you go to the grocery store, no more buying chips, but you can buy the other stuff. Like you got to pick one thing that you're cutting out. By this point, you should be at the point where your brain is clearer, your movement is up, your food nutrients is up. And you should be able to be at the point where your mind is so clear that you can now just follow your instincts of what you need to do to follow the motto of eat less, move more. Eat less, move more. After that, I would just keep that mentality. Eat less, move more. Eat less, move more. No more eating out though. That is the biggest rule when you're trying to lose weight. You cannot eat at any restaurant. I don't care if it's Chipotle. I don't care if it's Kava. I don't care how healthy you swear to God it is. I don't care what it is. No restaurant food. You have to make it yourself. I don't care how you make it. I don't care what you put in it, but you got to make it. You cannot let other people make your food. They are going to keep you big. But yeah, if I wanted to lose weight, that's where I would start. That's how like I would change my body configuration and my mind in order to get me started. Once you get started, after that, it's kind of trial and error, I promise you. Because you might cut out sugar and then relapse or some shit like that. But like at the end of the day, you got to keep that mindset of this is the journey I'm on and I'm not stopping until I get to where I'm going. You might relapse, but your body's going to be at least at a baseline point where you can actually get started with doing real stuff, of really getting into exercise, of really getting into eating healthy foods without being so forceful. In the beginning of losing weight, never try to do a 180. Never try to just I'm this new person, like, call me Julianne Moore. This is the biggest loser. Like, no, you always need to add instead of take away when you are first trying to lose weight. Never try to just take things away or like just try to swap your whole exercise routine. Slowly is the pace. If you move slow, you'll be able to also track what are your triggers. What are the things that get you to be big? What are the things that you were doing before you decided to lose weight that even got you to gain the weight? If you move too quick, you're gonna not even know what that is. That's how I know, for example, that the main reason I eat fries is because I love sauce. It's because I slowly started figuring these things out about what my tendencies are. My tendency is that I love fries, but I'm like, why do I love fries so much? It's because I love sauce. Okay? I'm obsessed with sauce. I love ketchup, honey mustard, barbecue sauce, mayo. Like, it's a problem. If you gave me fries with no sauce, I promise you, if sauce didn't exist, I would be the type of person who eats 2 to 3 fries and just leaves it. Because I'm not really that obsessed with fries, but I love dipping it. I'll take one fry and dip it into so many different stuff. Like, I'll take a small bite of the fry so I can dip it again. Like, that's how I know now, like, okay, it's not really even about the fries. It's about the sauce. Or like, that your tendency is like whenever you're stressed, you go for sugar. You need to figure out what those little tendencies are. And if you move too quick, you're never going to know what your tendencies that are keeping you big are, so that you can stop it quicker when you start to see yourself relapsing. If you start to see yourself eating sugar, you might be like, okay, I know that today the reason why I'm triggered to eat this sugar is because I had a bad result in this or something. So I'm going to allow myself to eat the sugar, but tomorrow I need to regulate. You know what I'm trying to say? So it's like, or tomorrow I need to like increase the amount of this nutrient because I ate the sugar today. So if I increase this nutrient, it's gonna kind of stop me from continuing. Maybe it didn't stop me from doing it in the first place, but it'll decrease my likelihood of like keep eating sugar again and again and again and again and again. Another thing I would do too if I'm trying to lose weight, no soda, no juice, no soda. I would cut out any drinkable calories. That's another thing. After I cut out eating out, once I get to the house, one of the main things I would stop too is drinkable calories. Anything that you can drink and brings in calories, no. No juice, no soda, no big milky frothy coffees and stuff like that. None of that stuff. Anything that is in that nature, you cannot have that. Like, that's too easy to increase the amount of intake that you're having in your body that you really just don't need. Like, you have excess fat, you're good. You don't need all that, boo. Like, you know what I'm trying to say? So drinkable calories is another thing I would cut out immediately. If you're a soda drinker, don't drink soda. That shit is so bad for you. Have you seen that video of them pouring Coke on battery acid? Like, the day I saw a video of Coke getting rid of battery acid, I promise you, I never drank soda again. Any soda. I didn't care what it was after that, except for ginger ale. Ginger ale is not soda, it's medication. Okay? But any soda after that, I never drink it again, because what do I look like drinking battery acid cleaner? Like, guys, like, that stuff, that's actually insane. And I would just swap it. If you drink soda, for example, find different swaps for things, like I said before, of like, pair the Snicker with an apple or something, and then slowly start to get rid of the Snicker and increase the apple. I would like do the same thing with drinkable calories. So it's like, if you're always drinking like, big milky frothy coffees or something, I would slowly decrease the amount of milk I put in my coffees, that I get used to drinking it black. Like, that's how I used to do until now I can drink tea with just water in a tea bag. You know what I'm trying to say? I don't need milk and sugar in my tea anymore. Or like, for example, like soda, I would start to drink like probably like sparkling water, stuff like that. Like, if you're looking for a great sparkling water, I would recommend Spindrift. They're half and half Spindrift. Oh, That shit is better than soda, I promise you. That shit tastes better than soda. Spindrift is the best sparkling water brand. It's a little bit pricey. It's a little pricey. But what's pricier is dialysis. What's pricier is what's it called? Diabetes shots. What's pricier is a missing leg. So think about what price do you really want to pay right now? Because I promise you, my price is cheaper than the one you're going to pay if you continue. So yeah, that's what I would do personally if I wanted to lose weight. And yeah, I was wrong earlier. I said I was going to put this video in the fat mentality playlist, but I'm going to put this one in the fit mentality playlist because this is your journey to fitness. So I feel like this I can add to the fit mentality. I do want to get that playlist a little bit bigger and start talking about more fit mentality things, because I think I've broken down fat mentality pretty good, but I'm also going to leave the playlist for fat mentality because it's very important that you know what things are fat mentality. If you are trying to move to fit mentality, knowing fat mentality and recognizing fat mentality is quite important. But yeah, make sure you guys are doing all that YouTube stuff, liking, commenting, subscribing. I need YouTube to know that, people actually come to this channel and engage with it. So yeah, do that. But see y'all later. I find too much media.